Central Illinois. Does anybody know where Effingham, Illinois is? Couple people. Does anybody know where Champaign is, where the University of Illinois is? Okay, a few more people. So about 90 minutes south of there on a little dairy farm. It was just my family. My dad was a dairy farmer on his family, and my mom, one of 12, a dairy farm. They joined forces 59 years ago, and we had a dairy farm. There are 5 siblings. I had one brother who passed away at the age of 8 with a farming accident. It's literally my parents, 250 acres. They milked for many years, and when the labor, which was my youngest sister, left home, they sold the dairy cows because they didn't want to hire people. They were cheap, right? So I come to you from a dairy farmer's daughter's perspective. And I want to go back to the picture that Dan put up there after hearing the attorneys. I want to go live in that house where he did, where there was no indoor plumbing and things were simple. Is anybody feeling like that? It's kind of complicated, kind of complex. So I'm here today, not to be a motivational speaker, I'm here today to challenge your thinking. I want you to be uncomfortable when you leave this space in a different way. Because the reality is, while I grew up on this sweet little dairy farm, and I baled the straw, I drove the tractor, I did all those things, it's not like that anymore. And I can mourn the loss of that because there is some grief in it, right? It was simpler then. And so I'm going to challenge us generationally because we've already bashed the Gen Zers. What did you say? They're the reason that we have to tell them not to eat the Tide Pods? Is that what you said? It's so true. But you know the other truth? We did that to them. Ooh, we did. We've created some of that. So I'm here to challenge you. I want you to think differently, and I want you to see it differently, and I want you to understand that there are strengths in each to leverage, okay? This will be some interactive. I'm going to get you thinking. The first thing I want you to do, though, is I want you to close your eyes in just a second. And I'm going to put you through an exercise. Again, uncomfortable right off the bat, because when's the last time we actually got quiet and took a breath and didn't have our cell phones buzzing in our pocket? So, close your eyes. Take 3 breaths, and I'm going to ask you 2 questions. And we're going to be quiet for a minute, or 2 or 3. And I want you to think about the answers to those questions for you. Really sit with, how does this resonate with you? What does it feel like? Let it settle into you. First question. Why in the world are you in dairy? Why are you doing this? And the second question is, when you hear the words farm legacy, what does that mean to you? So just sit with those 2 questions for a minute. Okay, you can open your eyes. Anybody want to share why you're still doing this? Why do you do this? Why do you milk cows? Yes, sir.
Family and lifestyle.
Family and lifestyle. Thank you. Yes? Because somebody has to feed us. Thank you. What else? Why do you do this? It's hard. Apparently, it's really, like, there's a lot of risk. It's coming your way. Why? I was a first grade teacher. I can wait a while. Let me ask it this way. Does anybody have a different answer than those two? Or is that what it's about? What's farm legacy mean to you? What comes to mind when you heard those words together?
Generational.
Generational. He says with an immense amount of pride. Right? Think about the picture Dan put up there. He said his dad was born in 1900. My grandpa was born in 1901. So it's generational. What else? Did farm legacy mean or sound to you? What resonated with you? Pardon me? Community. Yeah.
Carrying on tradition.
Pardon me?
Carrying on tradition.
Carrying on tradition. What else? Man, you guys are a tough crowd. Jeez, you're worse than 7th grade boys. Lord. So there's this, I'm going to challenge you again. I bet you every single one of you, if I went around the room and called on you and made you even more uncomfortable, you'd have some words like pride. By God, we do this because we love it. We don't know what else to do. If somebody said, I'm coming to your farm and I'm going to take it away, if the attorneys get to you and that employee causes you to be out of business, what are you going to do? Because I'll bet you all of you could not go to an office and sit there from 8 to 5. That might be like prison. Right? Yeah, the eyes went up like, please don't do that to me. There's a reason, right? You're outside, it's generational. I mean, you guys kind of look alike. Are you related? Yeah, I bet you're the son of the guy, yeah, and you want to do things differently, and he's like, I'm not going to let go of that. Oh, I see that you're laughing because that shit's true. So here's what I say to you. There's a reason you do this, and there's a reason that you're not quitting even after what they said to you. All the fear, you're still doing it. So I'm going to have, my remarks are 3 parts. I'm going to talk about legacy just a little bit. Then I'm going to give you some information about the generations. And then I'm going to talk about application. So what do we do with this? So let me read to you a statement about legacy, which I love. Legacy is the invisible thread that connects past, present, and future, ensuring that the stories and values we hold dear endure long after we are gone. Legacy encompasses profoundly and often emotional elements and emphasizes its intangible qualities and enduring impact. Folks, I don't care if you're a dairy farmer or you're just a regular person out there in the world, we all want to pass along a legacy. We want our kids to do the things that we want them to appreciate us. I have 2 sons. They're 28 and 25. They did not grow up on a dairy farm, but they grew up on doing stuff at my mom and dad's. And I want to pass on my legacy to them. I want them to know the value of work. I want them to have morals. All of those things, we want to pass that on. I specifically work with farm families, and do you know that 70% of farm families do not have succession planning in place? So you're pretty much ensuring that all the things you want to come true with the legacy isn't gonna. it's hard to do because it's emotional. The reason I do this with families is because my dad's side of the family did not do it well, and I have aunts and uncles who no longer speak to one another. Currently, my family isn't doing it well either. My mom and dad have things in place, but the reality of one brother doing that and how that's going, we're not having the tough conversations because it's hard. We know what we want, right? We know we want our kids to get along after we die. That's people's biggest fear. We know we want the land to stay together, or we want the farming operation to continue, and by God, they're going to screw it up, right? So this legacy piece is so critical. And when Dan was talking, I wrote a couple of things down that made me think about it differently. Folks, you're not a small family farm like it used to be. He said a system of management. This is a business. You need an HR person. Who'd have thought you need an HR person? You're working with cows. But then you got real people. He also said people aren't going away. That's kind of scary, because it's great until the people show up, and then we're kind of a pain, right, to work with. He also said people engagement multiple times, right? So I'm going to lead into this generational piece because we have had multiple generations in the workforce working together for years and years, right? I mean, we've had I'm going to offend you all by the time this is done. So we've had old people and young people together for a long, long time. But do you notice now that people are focusing on that and there's a bigger divide than there's ever been? Do you notice that? Yes or no? Yeah, this is the interactive portion. Somebody at least nod to me that you're awake, right? Okay, yes. So there's a bigger divide. Why is that? Why? Because it's true. And I'm going to talk about why that is. How many of you know what they say? Here's we go. How many of you are 70? I'm going to make you stand up. How many of you are 78 years or older? Stand up. How many of you have people working? Oh, nobody's standing up, but other people are pointing at people. That's great. You stand up. Okay, how many people are under 78 to whatever age? Like a boomer. If you're a boomer, stand up. I'm looking around the room, please. How many of you are 59 to 77 years old? Stand, thank you. 59 to 77 years. See, look at them. Oh, wait, now, look. I'm awake. Are you sure some of you? What generation are you? Are you 59 to 77?
Yep.
Stand up. Look at that. I told you I was going to make you uncomfortable. Okay, look around the room. These are your boomers. We're going to talk about them and bash on them too. Everybody's going to get equally picked on. Okay, you can sit down. How many of you are 43 to 58? Stand up. 43 to 58. Okay, these are your Gen Xers. These are your Gen Xers. Look around, okay? You can sit down. How about, see, we love the, I don't really know if I like millennials, but we're gonna, okay, 23 to 42. Stand up. Oh yeah, exactly. Okay, so these are what you call your millennials or Gen Yers. Sit down. All the rest of the young people under, let's call it under 25, stand up. Please applaud him. Oh, dude, you're the only Gen Zer. I pull your hat down a little farther. We'll have a separate room for you for your drink later. Why do I do that? Because we put people in categories. We stereotype them. We have a bias. We're human. We just do, right? So the information I'm going to give you, that might be our only traditionalist that just walked by. Should we pull him in? I don't know who he is, but he's over 80. Ooh.
Come on in, Ed.
Hey! Welcome. him because he stands alone with the Gen Z guy. He's thinking, what the hell did I walk into? I'm going to talk about generations. I'm going to give you some information on each generation. Here's why I'm going to give this to you. Because when we know, we do better. When we are aware, we do better. We all come with our own experience. As a dairy farmer's daughter, when I went away to college, and the people from Chicago were there, they're weird. They're city people. They do things very differently than us. I'm up at 5 a.m. because if you don't have everything done by 9 o'clock, you are a lazy piece of crap and you've wasted the whole day, right? Not them, they slept till 11 o'clock. That is like sacrilege. So we all come with our experience, and remember that. When you were 18, think back. How stupid were you? Really? Oh yeah, and you're thinking, we did some stuff that now you'd be in jail for. Or a lawsuit slapped on you, right? So I'm going to give you this information because I want you to know it and understand it, because it's going to help us bridge this gap. The young people are not going away. They are the ones who are going to keep your legacy and your farms going, whether you like it or not. You get to decide how that's going to go. It's going to be hard whether you do it now or later. Marriage is hard, divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Having kids is hard, not having kids is hard. Choose your hard. So this generational piece, I want you to see this as information. And I want you to really think, as I'm reading some of this, the people that you know in each one of these age groups. Because once you do that, you can now have a different perspective and look at it curiously instead of judgmentally. Okay? My dad is 84 years old. My mom is 78. They have been farming together their entire life, working together side by side for 59 years, and they still like each other. In fact, my dad thinks my mom is the hottest thing on the planet. Just ask him. I got the opportunity to travel with my mom last year to Europe when my youngest son got married in Macedonia. They had a big reception because his wife is from there. And my mom was away from the farm for the first time for that long, 2 weeks. And my mom and I have clashed over the years, mostly because she thinks I'm like my dad. I learned I'm actually very much like my mom. And sitting with my mom, who is 78 and the traditionalist generation, German, farmer, work hard, I got an appreciation of her differently. And now, I'm able to step back and not be frustrated anymore and understand when she says certain things, where that's coming from. That's what I want for you in this conversation. Okay? Here we go. So in the workforce today, there are 5 generations in the workforce. And this information is not just me that I pulled it out of the hat. This is from Purdue. And this is current U.S. workforce numbers. So 5 generations. We've got the traditionalists, which are the people that I made stand up, over 80s in the room. There's one, okay, over 78. Then we have, so there's 2% working in the current U.S. workforce. Baby boomers, 25% still in the workforce. And I just saw a Wall Street Journal article yesterday that we're having an issue with the boomers, because the boomers are retiring, but we need them to stay longer, but we're not rehiring. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that's coming with this workforce issue. Then Gen X, 33% of the workforce are us. And then millennials, 35%, and the Gen Z, only 5%, but remember they're the youngest ones and they're coming up. They're the ones that we're all mad at. Yeah. They're the ones who are the problem. Of course, they didn't raise themselves. We kind of did that to them a little bit, or more than a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to give you same information about each category. What are the traits of the traditionalist? They're dependable. They're straightforward. They're tactful till they get over the age of 80. That's my own commentary, and after that they don't have a filter and think they can say whatever they want to say. Whether they offend anyone, but they equally offend everyone. And they're also loyal. They're the guys who've worked at Ford Motor Company for 42 years. What are they shaped by? Because every generation is shaped by something. Keep that in your mind. Because when we get to Gen Z, we're going to talk about what shaped them. This generation was shaped by the Great Depression, World War II, radios, and movies. So Dan talked about the fact that his dad did not have electricity, and now we're sitting here with AI. Whoa! Think about what he has seen in his lifetime. You cannot wrap your brain around that. Okay? What are they motivated by? Respect, recognition, providing long-term value to the company. Their communication style, they want a personal touch. They want a handwritten note. They don't want email. And they want you to call them because they're going to put you on speakerphone with the entire room around you. You ever talk to your parents who are all on speakerphone? You're like, the whole world knows this. Okay? Here's their worldview. Obedience over individualism. Age equals seniority, and they want to advance through the hierarchy. That's your oldest generation. Your next generation, those boomers, they're optimistic, they're competitive, they're workaholics, and they're team-oriented. Keep in mind the workaholic part, because that's going to come back later. What are they shaped by? The Vietnam War, Civil Rights Movement, and Watergate. Now, when I say these things, think about what that actually means. Think about the Vietnam War and how they came back, like all of that. What does that mean, right? If I say 9/11 to you, immediately you know what that means. Okay? What are they motivated by? Company loyalty, teamwork, and duty. Communication style, whatever's most efficient, phone calls, face-to-face, and their worldview. Achievement comes after you pay one's dues and you sacrifice for success. This is very important because farm families that I'm working with, many of their parents are boomers. And these young people are going, because the boomers are looking at their kid going, what do you mean you're not showing up at 7 o'clock every morning or 5 o'clock? Well, because we're not doing something until not. Well, it doesn't matter. You need to be here. Right? And you're going to go to your 6-year-old's gymnastics practice that lasts 12 minutes? And you're not going to be on the farm? Are you kidding me? The boomers are laughing because they're like, yeah, that is exactly what we think. Yeah. Okay, their worldview. Achievement comes after paying one's dues and the sacrifice. Now, some stats. Baby boomers who plan to work past 65 is 65%. So they're working longer. 10,000 baby boomers reach retirement age every day. So this, Gen Z guy, so this workforce problem that we have isn't just the Gen Z because they don't want to work. First of all, there's less of them. Baby boomers are retiring at 10,000 a day. The sheer numbers of the baby boomers. So we have, they're retiring, and guess what? 10,000 retire, but there's not that many jobs because we've automated all kinds of things. So Gen Z, it's not your fault. You're welcome. So getting us to think differently about this whole thing as you sit here and think about your farming business and operation. All right, let's talk about the Gen Xers. We're forgotten people. Gen Xers, are we forgotten? Yes. Yes, we are. Flexible, we're informal, we're skeptical, and we're independent. We're motivated, or we're shaped by the AIDS epidemic, the fall of the Berlin Wall, and the dot-com boom. What are we motivated by? Diversity, work life. Do you see how there's a shift happening? Work-life balance, personal and professional interests over the company's interest. What should employers be giving them? Immediate feedback, flexible work arrangements, work-life balance stuff. You hear that a lot? Couple of interesting stats about Gen Xers. Startup founders who are Gen Xers is the highest percentage, 55%. So you see there's a shift of the company loyalty in doing that to now we've got some creative or diversity or entrepreneurial kind of things. And Gen Xers will outnumber baby boomers by 2028. So you see what's happening. Okay, questions so far? Anything resonating with you? Like there's some nodding going, I see this. All right, millennials. Competitive, civic and open-minded, and achievement-oriented. They're shaped by Columbine, 9/11, and the internet. Those are big ones. They're motivated by responsibility and the quality of their manager and unique work experiences. Do you see that shift that just happened? You got the traditionalists who are just doing this. Now they want unique work life or work situations. They are seeking challenge, growth, and development, a fun work life. Don't be a dairy farmer then. And a work-life balance. And they're going to leave an organization if they don't like change. This is fascinating. Percentage of the global workforce to be made up of millennials by next year. Global workforce, 75%. So I have to learn to like them. I don't know that I like the millennials.
We're all right.
Are you all right? Yeah. I maybe need to spend more time with them to understand you better. Is that might be. So 75% of our global workforce, okay?
I have a couple.
And here we go. 25 to ages 25 to 35, 15% of those people are still living at home with their parents. And most of their parents probably have them on Live 360. Because they're tracking them. Because we can't let them see, okay? Yeah, some of you are like, oh, that's me. I will not look at you. Okay, let's talk about Gen Z, shall we? I will say these are my favorite. They are global. Global. The world is open to them. When anyone starts a sentence with, when I was a kid, okay, that puts them in a certain age group. We had 3 channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, and PBS if you had an antenna and hold your foot just the right way. Okay? These kids are global. The world, they're communicating with people across the ocean. What are they shaped by? Life after 9/11, the Great Recession, and access to technology from a young age. They're motivated by diversity, personalization, individuality, and creativity. Quite opposite of the other ones, right? They're communicating instant message, text message, social media. Here's their worldview. They self-identify as digital device addicts. Folks, they know it. All the negative things you say about them, they know. They know that. But I also want you to know that I've watched this room today and we're all digital device addicts. I went down to breakfast, I got halfway from my room to breakfast and I went, out on my phone. Do I go back? Do I not? And I didn't twitch all through breakfast, but I was like, immediately after breakfast, I'm going to get my phone because I could miss something and the world would blow up. Not true, okay? So they know this about themselves. They value independence, individuality, and they prefer to work with millennial managers, innovative coworkers, and new technology. They don't know how to work with the old people. Now, this is telling because you guys talked about this and Dan talked about this. Gen Zers want to interact with their boss, 40% of them, daily or several times a day. They are needy. That's how you engage them. They're not going to be, here's your job, go do it. When you do the next thing, you'll figure it out. It's different. And they expect, 84% of them expect an employer to give formal training. So, what do we say about Gen Z, this young group? What do we say about them?
They're lazy.
They're lazy. They do not know how to work. Okay? What else?
They can't make decisions.
They can't make decisions. What else do we say?
They lack personal communication skills because everything's done on phone.
They lack personal communication skills. What else?
They can't drive.
They're entitled, they can't drive. They can't drive. No, they don't know where they're going.
They
Right.
never drove a farm truck or four-wheelers. They just jump in a car and go.
That's correct. And many of them are getting their license later.
Yeah.
Okay, and because when they've been in the car from little on, they're on a device, so they don't even know where the world is.
Right.
They don't know directions. Now, you are 100% right on every one of those. And here's what's happened. We are talking about this more and more and more, and it doesn't matter about the label, okay? If they're traditionalists, if they're boomers, take the label away. If you read the research, this younger group of people are remarkably different than any other generation before them. They are. Technology has done that to them. Those are unintended consequences. We didn't mean to have this happen. I taught first grade for a few years. One-to-one device. Let's put a kid in front of a computer screen, and you wonder why they can't talk to you. Guys, they're afraid of you. I coach young people in their first 1 to 3 years in their jobs, and they're like, I don't know what to do. Well, do you know why? They haven't had a job. Because we want them to focus on their studies. Okay, I'm going to talk about that for a minute. When I was a senior in high school, or junior, whatever, we had a, what are those career fair things? And the college representative is there, my dad's with me, and the college advisor goes, your daughter needs to get a job. And I'm thinking, shut up. No. And he said, there's 40 hours in a week. If you're in class 12, there's a lot of time not to do stuff. So I had jobs, right? This idle time. We haven't given kids the work to do because they're focused on their studies, or at least where I'm from, they're traveling sports all over the place because they can work on Tuesday from 3:34 to 4:34, or on Thursday from 8 in the morning to 8:46 because I got to be at soccer practice at 9. They don't have chores. So do you see what's happening here? Now again, unintended consequences of this. And I hear parents say this all the time, we want better for our children than we had. What does better mean? Is it better? It's not better, folks. And guess what? If you have no work experience and then you go to a job, the employer expects you to have certain experiences and skills and you don't have them. So it's not that they're being whatever we say they're being, they don't have those skills. So we're going to have to teach that to them, not to eat the Tide Pods. We're going to have to be very specific about that. So let's talk about the communication piece. You are correct. They do not have, now, I'm going to correct that. Actually, they are communicating. Because their body language says something. They are speaking words. So they actually are communicating. But they're not communicating like we used to.
Is Snapchatting communicating?
Yes.
You're blowing it up then.
They're blowing it up. His question was, is Snapchat communicating? It is. And see that, thank you for asking that question, because here's the perspective on that. We don't think that's communicating. Yes, it is. So here's the thing. Let's put some expectations and parameters on that and follow through on it. Parents don't follow through. So the communication is different. They don't know like we did. Should it be that way? Folks, we can talk all day long about the shoulds. The fact of the matter is, here's where we are. What are you going to do differently? The gentleman who asked about the cell phone at work, you're right. Give them consequences, help them understand that. Now, on the other side of that, I would say, what are they doing on their cell phone during the day? Is it because of work, or they're looking something up, or they're just flat out Snapchatting, right? So, as a former teacher, kids need routine. They need discipline. They crave it. We are creatures of habit and routine. And why do you think they're acting out, right? They want you to sit them down and pop them on the butt and say no and follow through. So these kids are delayed compared to where we were. They don't have truck experience. They're not even driving four-wheelers. They're not. So what we're expecting of them, right, is what we know and what we have. Now, I want to talk about, because this is extremely important, part of understanding them. Post 9/11, an unsafe world. Folks, it's not new technology, it's not new anything if this is all you've ever known. These kids have never known a world without shooting. Do you know I'm trying to think of the year, 2019, there were more mass school shootings than there were days in the year, 419. Kids in school now, when I was a kid, the loudest noise, it was because the kid next to me farted. Now they duck and cover because it's a gunshot. I had this conversation with some young people, and they said at their high schools, they're seniors in high school this year, when they have a fire drill, do you all remember a fire drill? How'd the fire drill go? And you dumped the building, right? And as a teacher, you got those kids out there, they knew exactly what to do, and the firemen came. My son's a fireman, so I like firemen. Okay, 2 minutes, and you got like the badge of honor to go. We dumped that building in 2 minutes. Do you know what they're taught now? Don't leave your room. Because that is a ploy, because someone out there pulled the fire alarm, and you walk in the hall, and they're going to shoot you. That's what they're being trained for. Folks, I don't even lock my keys or lock my doors on the farm. You see the difference? Can't get on an airplane without being strip searched. All the things off, whatever. I mean, it's a big deal. When my youngest was born, I lived in California for a very short period of time, and I left for a reason. And so we would fly. We'd take the red eye from LA to Chicago. I'd bundle my little guy up in his little footy pajamas. I'd have all the formula bottles that nobody ever checked going through TSA because it did not exist. We'd get on the plane at midnight. I'd lay him on the floor in the aisle or in the exit row, put him on a blanket. I didn't buy him a ticket. He slept the whole way. That never happens now. So they don't know what we know about this world. So they are scared. We've made them scared. We have them on Live 360. 30 years ago is when we started putting knee pads on them and helmets. Okay, we didn't have four-wheelers when I grew up. We had three-wheelers with those great big tires. Oh yeah, that's right. Preacher's daughter came out to our house, Amber Stirp. I remember, redhead, and her parents were so scared of everything. And I'm like, oh, it'll be fine. Well, we were in 6th grade, I remember, and I we hit the culvert, with the big tire, and we went like this, a time or two. I took a pillow to sit on for like 2 weeks at school because I bruised my butt and all that kind of stuff, but okay, I didn't have a helmet, I was fine. Well, I think I'm fine. It's questionable. But they don't do that. Have you ever heard helicopter parent? Now they're called Zamboni parents. So we smooth it all out ahead of time. Parents are coming to job interviews with their kids. For real. Kids, I had some conversations with people this week. Kids don't want their parents doing it all for them, but the parents can't let go. Gen Xers, let your kid figure it out. Like, do you see what's happening here, right? I'm almost as depressing as the attorneys. Please tell me I'm not. Am I? Somebody said no. Thank you. Okay, appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. You get the first drink. Yeah, okay. I say this to you because I want you to understand and be aware of what we have. And then we have guys like my dad, who built his farm from nothing, works hard every day, wants his farm to stay together. How do you reconcile that? In March, we were at my mom and dad's. My son lives in Colorado, and he came home with his wife, and we were all at the farm, and my dad was having a particularly curmudgeon-y day, and he was complaining that they don't know how to write a letter. And my niece, who's 24, said, well, Grandpa, I don't know how to write a letter or address an envelope, but I know how to mobile deposit. And he was like, well, and I was like, let's watch how he answers that, right? So I say to you, there are strengths in each of them. Folks, we need these young people with the, you guys are laughing, okay? With the young people, we need them with the technology stuff because my brain doesn't work like that. There's so much coming at us that we can't process it all. They have skills, so we look at them, and Dan said it. How do you engage them? You guys said nice people don't sue, right? Or however you said, I wrote that down. Huh?
Nice people don't get sued.
Nice people don't get sued. Okay, see, I misquoted them. I wrote it down. I wrote it down.
If they like you, they won't sue you.
If they like you, they won't sue you. So how do you get them to like you? Because now we're looking at, what's the application of this? What's the answer? Consistency. Yes. Set those things in place. Train them. Here's the other piece I want you to say, and this young woman back here who said community. The other thing about, and it's not just the young people, we have isolated ourselves so much in this world. Do you remember when we used to sit out on our front porches and visit with people? Even in the country, you just drove by and mom always had a peach pie or something and you just came, you just visited. Now we're afraid to call people to interrupt them. What the heck's the phone for? So we have put fences up. We have do all our things in our houses. We don't sit on the front porch, we sit on the back porch. I live in a neighborhood. These people, all of us, are starving for community. And I don't mean just when someone dies or has a tractor accident and you come in to help them finish whatever they got to do. That's different. So how do you engage them? You sit down with them and have a conversation. Tell me what's important to you. Because guess what? The young people want to talk to you. I have a podcast and I spend a lot of time talking to young people and they're like, I don't know how to talk to the older people. No one's taught them that. Even their parents are not having conversations. So consistency. Engage with them personally. Ask them what's going on. You don't have to be weird about it and pry. Just, hey, what's going well today? What are you excited about? Eye contact. A personal connection. They are starving for interaction. They just don't know what you know. It's a skill gap. It's not, they don't get up in the morning, none of us do, to try to piss someone else off. That's not, I mean, some people might. If you live with one of those, I'm sorry. But we don't get up with bad intention, right? They just know what they know, And we know what we know. And I thought when I turned 40, I'm like, man, do I know stuff. Then I turned 50 and I'm like, I did not know no stuff. Then I turned 56, I'm like, I still don't think I know stuff. So they don't know what we know. They have experiences that we don't have. Do you see what can happen there? Okay, I love that word consistency. Yes, show them over and over and over again. They need repetition. Schools have done a disservice to them. There's not a lot of real life application there, folks. And I'm a teacher, I can say that. What else do you think? As you're thinking through some of the situations on your operation or with the people in your life, maybe it's your own grandchildren. Heck, maybe it's even your own son. Like, what's wrong with him?
Well, I don't know.
Oh, well, let's start with you. What's wrong with him? Nothing? Smart boy. Right there, he knows. Right? And some of the hardest things is you got a guy who's quiet. Okay. But apparently you like each other enough to work together. What else is coming through your mind? We've got just a couple more minutes, and I want some questions or thoughts or situations that we can talk through. And I'm not going to sit down until we have some.
Processes, right? So the kids want processes. It's like my son, I'm trying to teach him how to, fix his own car. And he said, I checked on YouTube, there's nothing. So I'm like, okay, so you're done.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't fix it. There's like, can you thought through the problem a little bit?
No, he can't.
No.
It's like saying, it's like saying to a 16-year-old boy, what were you thinking? Well, he wasn't. His brain's not fully formed, people. Yeah. So let me talk through that a minute. There are some resources, and I have my contact information back there. If you want to read some of this to understand it, there's a book called Generation Z Unfiltered. Because here's the thing. They have all this knowledge, right? You can go to YouTube, and I can read to it. But here's what's lacking. They have no experience to know. It's like touching an electric fence. You only do that once, right? Or twice if you want to have fun with your friends as you pee on the fence. Let's just, okay, how that goes. I mean, really. So they don't have the problem-solving skills because schools aren't doing that. And so what you're fighting as a dad is what you want them to have, but you have a little bit of influence over whether they're spending the rest of their life, right? So you're sort of fighting an uphill battle, but they have all this access to data and knowledge without any experience to see whether that would actually work. Like you look at it and go, that is not even going to work. No, yeah, it is because it's on YouTube or TikTok, for crying out loud, right? So yes, so they want processes. I hate to say this to you. Treat them like a first grader in a way. When I started teaching first grade after I taught 7th grade, I have a seat next to Jesus. And the teachers who helped me said, you will be bored the first 6 to 8 weeks. You have to do repetition, 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 train. Because after they go home for Christmas break, they won't forget in January. So that's what you need to do. When they come into a business. And the other thing is I say to people, and I work with organizations, you don't have time to do that because you're milking. You're running your business. Get somebody else to do that. Coach them through that. I have a couple of young clients who said, nobody in my business is doing this, and oh my gosh, this makes sense now. It's a small investment to make on the front end to get you serious results on the back end. Good question. Train them. Ask the process, and then don't say, do you understand? Because they're going to look at you and go, yeah. And then they're going to go do something stupid. You say to them, tell me what I said. Walk this back to me. Okay, let's look at this. They take more work up front because they have a gap in those skills. What else? Rick, how much do I have? 3 more minutes?
2.5.
He's a boomer, he's kind of antagonistic. It's all right, it's fine. We'll deal with you. I got 2.5 minutes, make it good. What is coming to feedback? Disagree with me, ask me a question.
I think our own kids got a lot of work experience, they didn't deal with that part of it, so that part of it, and then I think that most of the Hispanic population that we have hired is old school, yeah, they have those old school work ethics, so we're not really probably dealing with it for another generation. But
which is kind of a blessing, right? And he was saying that the old school, the Hispanics that you're hiring, kind of old school, and so could be a bit before you're dealing with the work ethic thing. But here's what I'm gonna tell you, get ahead of it. Don't wait to have to be reactive to that. Make some decisions. Engage somebody with you to help you be proactive. Because it's way harder to react. Easier to do the front end. What else?
Retirement age in farming and agriculture. I think that when you talk about generational transitions, a lot of times guys are taking over the farm at typically an age that we would see retire in other industries.
Mm-hmm.
So son comes onto the farm at 20, at 35 he's ready to go, but dad just took over the farm at 60, going to stay till 80, and he's not going to get a chance to take over it till 60, and so he's going to stay till 80. And I think that there can be some challenges there, and why we see some families leave the farm.
Yes.
Because they're ready to have ownership of the operation.
So, thank you, because that is a big deal. What does that transitioning look like? I'm talking actually to more boomers who are saying, I'm not doing this till I'm 80 like my dad did. I'm just not. It's different, I'm tired, I don't want to, I want some more flexibility. So this farm legacy, thinking through that, how do you then transition to him so he can have an income and support his family, right? So some of that is changing too. And not having the conversation is hard, and having the conversation is hard. You have to choose your heart in that. I'm going to leave you with any other quick questions. I am going to be around and be happy to chat with you. I have some resources and things that I'm happy to share, just so you can educate yourself about this. But I have 3 things. Get out of your own way. Change your perspective. You're going to have to think differently. And that is kind of hard. So I would encourage you, the first step in that is to approach it with curiosity, like, I wonder why they do that, instead of judgmental, but getting out of your own way, because you can't change someone else, you can only change you. And if you come to that differently, there's going to be a different reception there, and then engagement gets easier. The number 2 is that I want you to think about the hard that you have to choose. Some of this is hard, and it's hard now or it's hard later. Pick your hard. And the other part of this too is when you are dealing with these kinds of things, acknowledge that this is hard and there's some grief in it. You have to let go of what used to be. It ain't that way anymore. It's not simple. It's not 3 channels on TV. It's 133 that have absolutely nothing on them but noise. Yeah? So really, this is about you and how you approach it. And I will tell you, when I changed my perspective and started interacting with these all different ages, I'm having so much fun. Because I can push back on the 80-year-olds and I can push back on the 25-year-olds because there's an interaction there. And they feel a connection. So then they are engaged and they're going to want to give you their best. And they're going to be able to say, you know what, I don't know. Help me, I don't know. So it's not you on this side and them on this side. It's how do you come together and see this person and leverage their strengths. We all have them. Some things I'm good at and some things I'm not. I should not be an attorney or do spreadsheets. So you get to decide how you're going to leverage the strengths of each generation. We all have something valuable to bring. It really is up to you how you bring that out in your family, but in your operations, so that you can continue the legacy and connection and tradition. I will be around. thank you for the opportunity to speak to you. It has been a pleasure.